Alright, so continuing on, we will start creating the king piece, and we can begin by using our tried and tested method of selecting our pawn, pressing Shift D, X to move it along the X-axis, and then building our king from there. So I've just tabbed into edit mode, press 1 for vertex select, and then Alt Z for X-ray mode. And then I will box select these vertices here, then press X, delete vertices. Okay, so I can just press A and then S to scale up, press G and Z to grab and move. Apologies if I'm moving quite quickly. Hopefully you have gotten the hang of this part of the video where we just create the base and just adjust different things. So maybe to have a bit more distinction between the different pieces, what I can do is just left click and drag, and then just press G and Z to move this down to give it a shorter base, like so. And then we can just continue creating our king piece by alt clicking this edge loop here. What I'll do is actually just delete all of these pieces coming up. So I'll just click like so, and then I'll press Shift Alt click to deselect this one here, and then press X, delete vertices. And then what I'll do is alt click this edge loop, press E, right click, then S to scale in, and then what I can do, excuse me, sorry, sound. Okay. And then what I can do is press E, Z to extrude upwards on the Z axis. And then I will press S to scale like so. I'll just see how that looks. And maybe what I can do is press 3 for face select mode, alt click this edge or this face loop here, and then press S, Shift Z to scale on the Z axis, just so that we have a much thicker piece. And I think that makes it a bit more distinct from the bishop piece, which is always nice. So I'll tab back into edit mode, press 2 for edge select, and then alt click this edge loop here. I'll press E, right click, and then S to scale, and then E, Z to scale upwards like so. All right, and then maybe alt click this face loop here, and then press S, Shift Z to just adjust the thickness or the width of this part. So continuing on, alt click this edge loop here, then press E, right click, S to scale down a bit, and then press E, Z to extrude upwards like so. Again, sorry, noise. And then what I can do is press E to extrude, right click, S to scale down, and then we will make this part. And we can make this part here by pressing E, Z, and then pressing S to scale out like so, so that we have that inverted cone shape. All right, almost done with the main parts of the king helmets, king head. I don't know why I said helmets. So alt click this edge loop here, press E, right click, S to scale down, and then press E, Z. And I didn't scale it down enough, but what I can do is just press 3 for face select mode, alt click this edge loop here, or face loop, doesn't matter really, and then press Alt Z so that I can see transparently, I guess, and then press S and Shift Z to scale it down to about here. And then what I can do is alt click this edge loop here, Alt Z, and then press F to fill in like so. So that is our king piece, and what we can do is start adding in some of the beveling to our model. So I will alt click this edge loop here, sorry about that. Then I will Shift Alt click this edge loop here. Whoops, not that one. Shift Alt click this edge loop here. and then press Ctrl B to bevel them simultaneously. And I'll scroll up a few times on my mouse wheel. Again, just moving my mouse to increase or decrease the amount of bevel. This is up to you how much you want your edges to be beveled. And then what I will do is, I'm just looking at my reference image. Okay, so I'll press Ctrl R for the edge loop, then press S to scale like so. And as we've done before, press Ctrl B and scroll down until we have two segments, And then what I'll do is press S, Shift Z to scale on the X and Y axis, or everything but the Z axis. And what I can do is just manually bevel these two. So I'll Alt click and Shift Alt click, and then bevel these like so, making the bevel quite small, but having a decent amount of segments. And then I'll do the exact same thing for this segment here. So Ctrl R, press S to scale, Ctrl B, scroll all the way down, and then drag it up like so. Maybe pressing S, Shift Z to scale out. And then beveling this by Alt clicking, Shift Alt clicking, and then pressing Ctrl B and beveling like so. Alright, is there any more to bevel? I'm not sure. I don't think so. Maybe this one here. This one needs some beveling. The one beneath it already has beveling. It has 3 segments, so I'll make sure to match that. I think, one. I think that's enough. Hopefully it is, but not too noticeable anyway. And then I'll bevel this edge here. All right. Sorry, excuse me. All right, so now we can create this top piece, the cross of the king's piece. So what I can do is just add in another object. So first we'll tab into edit mode, right click, go into face select, right click this top face here. And then I will press Shift S, cursor to selected, and this will position my 3D cursor right in the center of this face. And then what we can do is press Shift A, add in a cube, and I will press L to scale down, and then I will go into front view. I will press G and Z to bring it up onto the Z axis around here, like so. So now we need to create the cross at the top of the king's piece, and we can do that by selecting our king's piece, the main body, and tabbing it into edit mode. And then what we'll do is press 3 for face select and select this top face here. And then I will press Shift S and select cursor to selected. This is just so that the piece that we'll be adding will be perfectly centered in the middle of our top face here. So then what I can do is press Shift A and add in a cube. So if I press L to select just the cube, then I can press S to scale it down and go into front view and just position it about here. Maybe scale it down a bit more. And then to create, I guess, all of the arms of the cross, what we can do is press 3 for face select and Alt click this face or these face loops here. And then what we can do is press Alt E and extrude individual faces. So this will pull each face out individually, not as a entire unit. So we can bring it out slightly and then go into front view like so. And then what we can do to have that, I guess, outwards effect on the cross is to press S, and I think it's Shift Y. And as you can see, that pulls out each of the faces like so. All right, so that looks good. And what I can do is just press L to select this this part here, and then press S to scale it down like so. All right, so once we've done that, all we need to do is to create the little circle at the top. And we can do that by pressing Ctrl R and then right clicking to leave in the middle. And then what I can do is press Ctrl B and bevel it once, or I guess divide it into 2 segments, and then leave it about here. So we don't want it too wide. If you need to change it, just press S and X to scale it down. And then what I'll do is right click this face here, press E to extrude upwards, and put it around here. And then what we'll do is press Ctrl R, right click and leave it in the middle, and then press S and X to scale out on the X-axis. So this is how your cross should be looking right now. And then what we need to do is press Ctrl B to bevel, and then press Ctrl R to add in a few segments. So add quite a lot. It makes it more smooth, the more segments that we add. And this is looking all right. However, we have more of an oval shape instead of the lovely circular shape. So what we can do is just go into wireframe mode or X-ray mode and box select all of these vertices here. And then, then what we'll do is press C for circle select and just select all of these vertices here. I didn't mean to select this one. So just select all of these vertices, but not these ones here because these are parts of our sphere. And then what we'll do is press H to hide. This is just so that anything we do using proportional editing won't affect the rest of the body, because we kind of like it how it is. So to enable proportional editing, you can go up here, or you can press the O key on your keyboard, and that will enable proportional editing. And then what you want to do is enable sphere. So to get our object looking a bit more spherical, I will alt click this middle edge loop here, and then press S and X to scale out. And then to increase my proportion of influence, all I need to do is just scroll up on my mouse wheel, and I should get my object looking a bit more spherical, like so. It might require some manual adjustment of individual faces. However, that is fine. We can just grab this edge loop here, alt click like so. Alt click, press S to scale. And maybe you just need to change it to smooth. Smooth sometimes works better as well. And then for this top face, what I like to do is just go into face select mode and then press S, disable proportional editing with O, select the top face, and then press S and X to scale in like so. And that makes the object look a bit more spherical. It doesn't matter if it's not exactly perfect, but it is nice to have your object looking the way that you'd hope it to look. I'm quite happy with the way it looks now. So what I can do is just press W and shade auto smooth. And if we want, we can actually add in a bevel modifier to this object. So I think it would be better to add or to make this object separate, just because we have a lot of bevel already. Let me just press Alt H to unhide the rest of this, the cross. But what I can do is press L to select this linked object, and then press P and separate by selection. And now we have two separate objects. And then what I can do is just apply the bevel modifier to the cross here. And we can increase the segments maybe to something like 3. And we can decrease the amount to sharpen up the bevel, and that looks quite good. So if I just place it snugly on top of the king piece, you can see that we have created the king. So that only leaves the queen, and then we will be done for all of the easier pieces. And then of course we'll have to move on to the knight. However, I guess one more easy piece and then the knight. So I guess I will see you in the next one, where we will begin creating, or we will complete the queen piece. All right.